scroll Instagram for like an hour without realizing it? I know I do. Or plan a getaway months in advance just to live or feel like you're alive for just a few days. So, welcome back to life. What is it good for? Where today's spiral is escape. Why we crave it, what it cost us, and why sometimes disappearing into Instagram, Netflix, or even a week at the beach, it can feel easier sometimes than facing real life.
We're talking about the allure of escape, the ways we numb out, check out, or dream of leaving it all behind. Because sometimes escape is survival, but other times it's the very thing that keeps us from the life that we long for. Maybe life isn't good for endlessly running. Maybe life is good for finding ways to stay present, even when it's hard. So welcome to segment number 1, escape as survival. Let's be real. Escape isn't always bad. Sometimes it's what saves us. I was thinking about those that have been in trauma, even our own life growing up. Escape for me was mental fantasy of something else that was better. I'm not here at this place. I'm here somewhere else. I'm living out a situation that's a lot more pleasant because it provides a sense of hope and it prevents a sense of stimulation that, okay, this is not as depressing.
I could see where for kids, I mean, that could look like zoning out in front of the TV or daydreaming, or I know for you, I mean, you sort of dove into books, reading a lot as a kid. And for adults, I mean, it could look very similar, but it could also look like that maybe you're planning the next vacation that's happening months in advance just because your everyday life feels too heavy to deal with in the moment, and you're looking for that that temporary escape.
Well, escape gives us a breathing room. When reality, it feels unlivable. The trouble comes if we never return back to face those problems. So it's a balancing act. How much do I escape from reality? How much do I remain present in the moment? Here's a quote. Don't know who this is from. That's a good one. Sometimes the only way to survive is to go somewhere else in your mind. Yeah. So, escape as a coping mechanism rooted in survival. Good thing or bad thing? Okay.
I that's a hard one. I don't think it's necessarily bad, and it all depends on how you handle it.
All right.
So if you're escaping to avoid something, what you're doing with your time, that it could be good or it can be bad. I mean, you could see where someone might escape to avoid something by turning to alcohol or drugs. So yeah, in that scenario, I could see where that coping mechanism could be a negative survival tool for some.
Well, sometimes it's necessary.
To turn to drugs?
No, I'm so sorry. No. Welcome to life. What is it good for? Find your next hit.
Okay, all right.
No. What I was saying is that escape, turning the brain off, relaxing, is a necessary thing to do for some people if you're a workaholic. Like, I have a hard time relaxing. Anytime on the weekend, if I'm not doing something, I'm not cleaning something, I'm not reading something, I'll say, I feel so lazy. And my wife is like, my wife doesn't have that problem. She is comfortable with recharging her batteries by sitting there and doing nothing for those few hours because, hey, I've had a long week. It's been draining on me. I need to recharge my batteries. So when we talk about escape, some people like me may need to be advised, hey, you need to check out every once in a while because you're just go, and you're going to burn out. And then other people, I have seen them in the business world, particularly, check out entirely, bury their heads in the sand without facing how bad things are with their business because they just can't handle how overwhelming that is. And then therefore that's detrimental. So there's a Aristotelian mean here. You got to find the balance on how do I stay present? How do I know when I can escape and recharge those batteries. So here's a prompt question. What's your go-to escape when life feels overwhelming? Here, you're an adult, a parent, you got a small business and lots of things going on. What do you do to escape?
My go-to escape, it really depends on what my overwhelming experience is in that moment.
Okay.
So I would say I'd have different escapes for different levels of severity.
That sounds highly organized. I need an escape from just having listened to that. Okay. Where's the checklist? Where's the spreadsheet here? Okay, escape number 2. That's great.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't feel like it was intentional. I wasn't aware that I had different escapes for different levels. It was subconscious, but in preparing for this episode, I was trying to be very brutally honest in analyzing myself on what that looked like for me. And so if I feel anxious about something, my escape would be to clean. So I start cleaning the house or doing something of that nature. That I know that sounds not like an escape, but it is. I find it calming. If I am panicky, if I feel depressed or low, I usually call you. Or I'll text you from the floor of my closet.
She calls her brother and realizes, oh, my life is not as bad as I think it is, but I'm doing great.
No, Jeremy, he'll just tell me, he's like, you need to go call your brother and see what's wrong with his life.
Golly, I just love that I have that reputation. It's fantastic.
But you know what? When you were gone last week, I couldn't call you, and I was so depressed. And I called Jeremy at work, and I told him, I said, look, I can't reach Brandon. It's way too early because you guys are a few hours behind us. And Jeremy's like, oh, that's okay, babe. I don't mind if you wake him up. Only those that know Jeremy's going to really appreciate that humor.
That's right. Well, when I think of Jeremy, I still think of that scene with Chandler in Friends where he goes, what did I marry into?
Yes.
Because you and I got the unique relationship. Bless his heart. Okay, so escaping.
Look, if it is a situation where, okay, every day it just feels like a rinse, repeat, like a Groundhog Day experience where you just got this endless cycle of chores and responsibilities, I have a different escape for that. And for me, I like to pause. Sorry, I had a hair on my hand. I like to pause and think about Maine. And those that know me, they know, okay, Maine is my go-to escape place. And I like to visualize myself being in that environment. And I find that allows me to experience a form of calmness that helps break up that daily grind for me. Because I can't go there and experience it in person as frequently as I'd like to. But I am currently trying to find ways of bringing elements of what I get to experience when I am in Maine. I'm trying to find ways of bringing that into my daily life here at home.
Yeah.
Haven't quite been able to duplicate that, but it is something I am trying to work on.
Well, what's advice that you would give to folks who they really and truly need a break? They need an escape. And how do you escape when, okay, I don't have $25,000 sitting around to go on a 3-week cruise in the Caribbean? How do we help people find escapes from the things in life that are just draining them to their core, so that they can recharge the batteries? I don't have easy answers for that because I've been lots of years. I've worked in the church settings,
Yeah.
or even in in owning the music studio where I'm working with one-on-one with adults and just realizing their lives are really challenging. There's one thing, music lessons were an escape for people.
Okay.
Because there was the one time, I remember several adults, and one lady in particular, where she said, this is the only chance that I get in the week. When I come here, I know it's going to be peaceful. I know it's going to be relaxing, and I know that we're going to have a lot of laughs because I don't have any other place in my life where I'm getting to laugh a lot.
Wow.
So I don't know how to provide that for folks. I don't know what to tell them if they're stuck in trauma, if they're stuck in real stressful situations. But all I do know is there is a need for lots of people to find regular ways to recharge your batteries, either through rest, meditation, quietness. I think that we are so bombarded with so much noise, whether it's things coming through our phone because of social media, the news. I made the mistake of I've stayed off the news for a long time, and so I got on the news not too long ago. It's just negativity after negativity after negativity. And if you couple that with life responsibilities, you've got multiple children, if anyone has any health problems, well, now we're just talking about stress upon stress upon stress. And for some people, they turn to religious activities. But then again, I've seen there were religious environments were toxic.
Yeah. I don't know that we can provide a one-size-fits-all here because everyone's situation is going to be different.
Yeah.
What they find as an escape or release or relief, that's all going to vary for each individual. I mean, what I find as a temporary relief is not going to necessarily work for someone else. But I have read that being out in nature is supposed to be very calming and grounding.
Not in Alabama. You got snakes. You got skeeters. You got heat. You stay out there for 30 seconds. You got glorified swamp butt right there in Alabama because it is because it's so hot.
Oh my goodness!
Go back inside and get a walk-in freezer because you done sweated half your body weight within 30 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm not a nature person. Now, my wife, we just came back from an Alaska cruise. Now that is a place where I could see getting in nature because you don't have where we were at. If you're in Glacier Park area, you're not dealing with humidity. You're dealing with the highs of 60 degrees on a hot day. When we were up there, it was in its 50s, and so yes, the air is crisp, and you don't have skeeters running around that I know about, and you get to see a lot of beautiful wildlife. That was really recharging for me. Yeah,
but that's what we experience a lot when we go to Maine, and yeah, I agree. Trying to find that in the South in the summertime is extremely difficult, but there is something like in the evenings, like Jeremy and I will like to go just walking through our neighborhood after the sun sets. It's cooled off. Something about disconnecting. I do take my phone, but I don't use it. I just have it in case Chloe needs to reach us. But just disconnecting, it also gives us a chance to connect with each other, but we disconnect from the responsibilities at home and enjoy nature, even though it is in a subdivision. But
well, music can also be a good way of escape. I enjoy what my wife does a lot of times. She will have spa music playing, going down the road. Sometimes I'll have meditative music being played. I love just very calm drone sounds in the background. There's wonderful channels on YouTube. It's just called spa channels or relaxation or meditation music. It's fantastic to provide calming. There's another aspect of escape, which is really down the rabbit hole, and that is finding inspiration and energy through altruism, being able to help other people. Yeah. That's some of the most energetic moments of my life when I've done something and it's really made a difference, and people say, wow, that's a great job that you've done. It's made a difference. And so it's worthwhile. It doesn't feel like even though it's maybe been hard work, it wasn't draining my bank account, so to say, emotionally. It was actually recharging the batteries.
As long as you can learn to maintain your boundaries, because I know what you're talking about, but I'm really bad about just jumping to anyone's request for help. And that can be draining if you don't find that balance of helping, but yet helping yourself.
When we were on this cruise, they had some activities there on one of the sea days. Mm-hmm. And it was a professional painter that was leading a class on watercolors.
Yeah.
And it was really, really relaxing. I found it extremely therapeutic. Granted, I have no skill set whatsoever on that department, but I found I could actually disconnect for whatever I was concerned about and focus in on that moment, being present. And of course, it's kind of hard to not be at peace when you're looking out a window and there's beautiful sea around you and you're sitting there, painting.
Yeah.
But I've actually brought the kit home. And I wonder if I'll have the time. That's the thing, got to find the time to actually dive into yet again another hobby. But for me, I probably anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes a day, maybe an hour, depends. I'm on the piano. I'm playing something, working on something. I find that to be an escape for me. Particularly, I love playing old hymns, things that I grew up listening to, just out in this nostalgic. I like making up music. Yeah. So I think to parents with young children, if you're thinking about investing in their life, the long-term applications of some type of art investment, whether it's drawing or music of some sort, is definitely a valid way of escape to find calming peace. And how do we... I had a friend text me this morning that she thinks I think maturity is coming to realize that peace comes from something inside and not because you can control the external environments. Mm-hmm. Because you're not really in control of anything. And so if we're using our escapes from reality to recharge the battery so that we get back into the fray of things with more organized energy, then that escape has served its purpose. If, however, we're finding that I can't face reality and I need a way of escape where I don't have to face this at all, now we're opening ourselves up, like I mentioned earlier, to addictions and other destructive behaviors. So a little bit of balance there.
Well, I have noticed, like with Chloe coming home from school, she can be very overwhelmed after being around that many people. Yep. She does have a little bit of us in her in regards to not liking big crowds.
Yeah, the overstimulation.
Yes. And so she will come home some days and she will just draw. And she has discovered for herself that that's what calms her and grounds her. And she's like, it helps me reset and zone back in on my schoolwork. So,
see, that's a wonderful intrapersonal skill set to have. And in the business world, it's amazing how many times I've seen people just completely oblivious to how stressed out they are, and they're just reaching for the flashiest entertainment or candy, if you want to put a quotation mark around it, that's temporarily solves the problem. And for them is, I can't begin to tell you people I've known, man, I can't wait to get wasted this weekend. I don't know what that's like. I've never been drunk. I've never done drugs. I don't do that stuff. Never have. So that's a foreign concept to me because nothing like that seems constructive. That seems deconstructive. Jumping into stupid relationships and then you've got a lot of guilt and stuff coming from that. That's not good either. People can use relationships to escape. Dysfunctional relationships. And, if you're stuck in a rather than facing the challenges you're having in your marriage, this is how affairs happen. This is how, unfaithfulness takes place because you're distracted on something else that's a lot more shiny rather than what's going on in the moment. So, we just went down a rabbit trail, big time.
What's new? So, when did you first learn that checking out might have been safer than showing up?
I used to do it as a kid. I didn't realize I was doing it.
Same.
You know, okay, but without harping on or rehashing some of the negativity we have shared about our background, let me just reference that in those moments, turns out what I was doing, I was running into the woods because we lived out in the middle of nowhere. So I was out in the woods a lot, or being able to go out of the house, get away from all of that. I found a lot of peacefulness even at the young age of 10 and 12. You know, just being a mile away from the house or more, out in a hollow somewhere, sitting at a tree. So that without realizing it was therapy for me, because it allowed me to just detach myself from the extreme toxicity. Now, later on as a teenager, I started I couldn't sleep at night. And this really got into my 20s. I would take long walks at night. You know, we lived out in the country, no traffic, very little light pollution, so you could see a lot of stars. And for years, that was just my therapy of finding that grounding, because it calmed me. Right. Ironically, looking back at that, I don't know why I didn't see the signs of, Brandon, there's a real problem that's going on here, because you're constantly on edge. You're constantly angry. Fortunately, I was finding some ways of letting that out, so it didn't turn to a lot of negative behavior. Because if people turn to negative behavior to cope with already existing toxicity, well, that negative behavior just sows seeds for more toxicity and other problems in your life.
Right.
Fortunately for me, I wasn't doing that. Fortunately, I found there was enough influence from my faith background. The music was helpful. The walks in nature were helpful. Ironically, did not find a lot of help from human interaction. Because my human interaction was mainly around people that were just about as messed up as I was. And so that's not helpful. I was just last night, had this thought in reference to our father. You know, previous episodes, we've talked about him. Yeah. You know what his biggest problem was? He was alone. He had no mentorships. And he was going on this journey of faith and whatever problems internally he was having, tackling it alone. And last night I realized I'm 43 years old, and I've never, ever had a real healthy, solid, close friend. Ever. That I can think of. And I say close, so I'm doing things with, and we have camaraderie. No, my entire life has been spent with not bad people, but people that were reaching out to me or Emma because they needed me for something, because they were going through an emotional trying time, and I love the opportunities to help.
Sure.
So I'm interested in seeing. Matter of fact, last night I whispered a prayer. Like, I wonder what would happen to me if I came out of my shell and was actually allowing myself to be comfortable to make connections with other people. That still makes me. It still makes me do this number, because I think it may be a coping mechanism. It may be some type of self-defense mechanism that's kicking in. But I just shudder at the thought of, hi, how are you doing? So nice to know. No.
Yeah.
You know, I married the one person I thought was great, and so I have that. Right. But I was thinking, I don't know what it's like to have a lot of, fellowship with other people, because I have such a pessimistic, negative outlook on humanity. Before you open your mouth, I'm just going to deem you're a walking bag of oxygen-wasting molecules that needs to be, selling used diapers for a living, because God almighty, have I been disappointed with humanity. It's like, what a horrible species to be a part of. So, welcome to my TED Talk of encouragement.
Oh, man. All right, so how do we segue that?
I don't know. I don't even know why you write these outlines for these episodes, because you're going to get with me. I'm going to take them down the worst road possible.
Yeah, I'm like scrolling through. I'm like, where do I go from here?
Where do I begin? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay.
So, I guess the takeaway for segment 1 would be for us to notice when escape is helping
Yeah.
versus hiding.
Yeah, that's the takeaway. Yep, that's what I said. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just said it a little bit more eloquent.
Oh, man. Well, so if escape can save us, how do we know when it's helping or holding us back? Vacations are a perfect example, unless they're stressful. I see
what vacation isn't stressful?
Well, I just came back from the most perfect vacation. I've never had a vacation like that before. But I don't have any advice for people who've got 4 kids. I was talking to my friend Terry just this early when she went to Europe. Italy. Took her 3 little kids. They were touring, and I'm talking to her, did you have fun? Oh, yeah, that's great.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, look. I haven't, and then they couldn't make their flight because there was a problem, so they ended up having to stay in Paris for another day or so, and they were ended up being placed in a hotel that was kind of a seedy side of town. She said it was not a 5-star hotel, let me put it that way. So
yeah,
I think vacations can be a good escape. But when I think about vacations as a family, I just think about ours that we took. I mean, Danny would be so tense, things going wrong, and it's your vacation's not going to be good when you have to stop on the side of the road and have a time of prayer. Lord, make this a good vacation. Help us get along.
While we're crammed in a van for 2 weeks.
I can't. What was that vacation? We took a vacation from Alabama to Prince Edward Island.
Road trip.
Road trip in that little van.
Yes. Oh, I'll never forget, though, you standing out of the sunroof. We're on that long bridge that stretches from the U.S. over into... or maybe it wasn't the U.S. It stretches over to Prince Edward Island. And we're in this bumper-to-bumper traffic jam. And you are videoing out of the sunroof.
Daddy let me do this?
We're in a stop position. I mean, we're just sitting on this bridge, dead still traffic. But I'll never forget you standing out the sunroof.
Now, I will say that Prince Edward Island is a beautiful place. And I can't wait. Najia's never been there. So
really?
I want to take her there because it's gorgeous. The grass and the whole scenery. And
yeah, because we don't have grass here. So.
Not that type of grass. The type of iron they have in the... Oh, sorry. Sarcasm. Yeah, you didn't hold up your Sheldon Cooper sign. Sarcasm. I took it literally. All right, let's go on.
Well, escapes, I mean, they can wear a lot of different masks. Binge watching, scrolling, shopping, overworking, and even vacations. They
can be beautiful, but sometimes they can be more about running away than about resting. But, I was talking to people on this cruise. There was a couple on there that are going on a 49-day cruise.
Oh, my. What kind of job did they have?
Well, these are all people that are on walkers and depends. They're retired. All right, and so... really, that's how I went on this cruise, because I saw a promotional video, and I'm like, oh, there's walkers everywhere. People can't move. That's my crowd.
Yes.
So we're on this cruise, and I took a nap and pulled my back out. All right, I didn't tell you this at all. Pulled my back out. I mean, it's bad. I had to hobble down to, fortunately, they had a spa on the boat, and this guy gave me the most painful massage ever. I have bruises still on me. That's how bad a massage this was, okay? But anyway, so we're supposed to go later that day on an excursion to see some beautiful gardens, and they were immaculate gardens. So I'm with the group. A lady on a walker bypasses me. This is how slow I'm having to move. I am 50 yards behind the AARP group because I cannot keep up. I'm hurting so bad. I was like, yep, this is my crowd.
Oh, and my goodness.
The vacations...
I laughed because something very similar happened to me. Jeremy will never let me live it down. He's like, I had to have a dental procedure done. They had to knock me out. Jeremy said he watched old ladies go one after one after one. People with walkers. He's like, they were coming out. You're still back there. The doctor's like, Miss Harris, you gotta wake up. And I'm still knocked out. So Jeremy, he still gives me a hard time about the older ladies beating me constantly.
My wife just left me. She's like, I'm gonna go see the garden.
Oh yeah.
I was hurting so bad, and so I almost grabbed that lady who passed me on a walker and said, "Hey, I need that more than you do." So the vacation that day was not fun because it was a lot of pain. So, yeah, what do you do? All right, here we go. We went down to the rabbit trail.
Well, if the only time you feel rested or alive is when you are trying to get away from your life, then maybe that's not really about the vacation. Maybe it's about the life that you're trying to escape from.
Oh, like a coping mechanism.
Yep. Yes. I do find myself doing that occasionally because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, we've all been in that position where we want to check out from our daily lives. But I am consciously trying to make efforts in how I can modify my daily life to where I'm not frequently trying to seek escapes from it.
Yep.
But where I'm making it more enjoyable, more tolerable, more something that I'm actually looking forward to. And honestly, I mean, I know I've mentioned this before, but this podcast, this time with you, this is something that has really filled that void for me and has flipped a switch in me that has brought a sense of contentment and purpose that I felt I was lacking beforehand.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Who said... Oh, I see his face. This is how bad my brain is getting. I'm having to Google this guy's name.
What did he say?
Well, anyway, what he said was that travel is the biggest deterrent toward bigotry and ignorance, because you begin to see how small of a world you actually live in, how little you don't know, how other ways of living are just as valid as yours. It helps diminish this ethnocentricity we can develop if we're living in one little area of the world for all our life and we never see anything outside of it. So I do believe that travel and vacations, the right type, are necessary. I like vacations that are informative, that are historical, where I'm getting to see something about humanity I haven't seen before, where I walk away learning something about reality. Vacations for me are not how much excitement and busyness was there, because that exhausts me. I need a way of recharging my batteries, but also learning something at the same time. So that's my definition of getting away, because if I get away in that manner, I recharge my batteries and I have energy to bring back to my everyday grind. Like, for instance, this cruise that we've taken, it's completely changed our life. We realized this is what we could do for the rest of our life. We realized, I mean, heck, you got a private butler. You've got food galore. You're getting waited on hand and foot, and it's in an environment surrounded by art. I mean, heck, they had a choir on board this cruise that I got to be a part of. Didn't know about that until I got there. And so you're interacting with world-class musicians. And then, of course, you have all these ongoing, very informative lectures that are taking place about nature, about life. And it's fantastic. I love learning. So that's how I escape. Matter of fact, I have found my escape in some of the college degrees I've done because I just enjoy learning. It charges my batteries.
Yeah.
Now, that's not for everyone. I've known people that, man, I can't stand to pick up a book. I got to go in a tree stand. I got to be out there in the green field. I got to be hunting. Great. But I've seen people with that same hobby. It devour their life, becomes an addiction, so you're spending money you don't have. You're not spending time with your family. So definitely, you got to have a balance to here when we're talking about vacation and escaping.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that brings up an interesting segue to a talking point I have. How to notice if travel is about avoidance versus renewal.
That's for someone to decide. Do you come back feeling charged?
Yes.
In order to deal with whatever life has in front of you.
Yeah. So I personally, Jeremy and I, we have traveled to Maine numerous times, and that is our escape. And for me, to answer the question, does it feel like restorative or avoidance?
Okay.
Definitely with Maine, that is definitely more of a restorative experience. Because being there, it gives me a chance to slow down. I reconnect with myself, the environment around me, and the mornings, the sunrise over the ocean. I mean, it's a presence that I do not get at home. And for me, it's not about running away from my life. So I guess that answers the question.
Okay.
Because as far as if it's restorative or avoidance, because it's not that I'm running away. It's about recharging, like you were talking about, and being grounded. And I know for some vacations can tip over into avoidance if we rely on them to escape and use
not
that.
Bring back, and not bring back some type of positivity into our everyday life. Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So the question becomes, how do we take that feeling we love on vacation and sprinkle it into daily life? My wife is doing that right now. She's nonstop watching videos on cruises. She's looking at all the videos and photos I took because she just told me yesterday, she says, I'm living back in the moment. This was a conversation yesterday. I've got to save that moment, that feeling of awesomeness, because it gives me energy throughout the day to help me deal with the mundane. And she says, I have to have something to look forward to, so I'm already planning my next trip. I'm already planning on what I'm going to do because this provides me happiness. And so, that's her way of escape. And if it's empowering you, then I say it's a good thing. Maybe it's those early mornings before anyone else is awake, like you just talked about. Slow cup of coffee for me. I don't do coffee because I'm a tea drinker. Or carving out a few minutes of uninterrupted quiet. I think this is the key. I don't think enough people have enough quiet time where they can hear that which really matters in their life. We have become addicted to busyness and hecticness. For instance, it's amazing how many people cannot go ride down the road in complete silence.
Yeah.
They have to always have stimulation on. And when I've shared with people that I can just ride down the road, my wife and I will do it. We know what it's like to drive on the road for an hour and not say anything. We sit there and be real quiet because there's that much peace. And I've heard people respond with, "Oh my goodness, that's boring."
Sounds like Chloe.
I can't. If I'm that quiet, then I'm going to hear all the stuff that's in my head, and I can't stand to take a look inside. Well, then you are a victim of your own internal workings without realizing what's there.
Yeah.
The point isn't to replicate these escapes perfectly, but I think the point whether you're going on vacation or you're finding moments to escape throughout the day, is to bring pieces of what felt alive and restorative into ordinary days. And my wife watches a podcast/videocast. I don't forget what it's called. Something. Oh, I'll think of something chic.
Yeah, Madam. Is it Madam Chic or? She showed it to me, but I can't remember.
Something like that. But it's fantastic because this lady is, her presentation, her name is Jennifer, is how to find peace and excitement in the boring things of life. She just has a video up of her folding clothes. And she'll be reading poetry underneath it, in the background while she's folding clothes. And it has nice reflective music going on. And I think that there's a real call here for most people to slow down and find something that is peaceful, even if it's in mundane. I have found this possible with doing dishes. I'm just relaxing.
Yeah.
Vacuuming can do that. The problem nowadays is I'm getting to the place where if you have to have a walker to walk at 43, you may not have the energy. So I literally pull my back out because I was stretching in my sleep and I was yawning and pop.
Wow.
Yep.
I think, to sum up, we need to be aware of what we're craving.
Yep.
Why we're craving it. And try to find ways of implementing it throughout our day-to-day, so as you're not just living for that one getaway a year, or how frequent you can actually do that.
Yep.
Because Jeremy and I don't know if maybe it's just with Dad having passed away a few years ago, it just, us hitting 40, we just feel like there's like this clock is hanging over us as far as how much time is left on our life, and it's like I don't want. I don't like the idea of the fact that we get maybe a few weeks out of the year that we enjoy living, and then the rest of the time it's just a grind. And so he and I have been very intentional about trying to look internal to find out what each of us need and start implementing that on a regular basis, because I want to take advantage of every day, not just a couple of weeks out of the year.
This is wonderful. It's interesting that you're having this conversation with Jeremy, and the G and I have been having the same conversation. I've been having this conversation internally where I'm not allowing myself anymore to push myself emotionally, mentally, physically to where I'm always in the red.
Yeah.
Learning to watch those signs of because what I did in my 30s was I was just running on adrenaline, and I didn't realize how drained I was. I wasn't stopping to find the refreshing moments of life.
Yes.
Always living for the future. And then all it takes is one small thing going wrong, and I would just lose it, burst of anger or just depression. And just so what I've developed in the last even the last 3 months is a more sensitive awareness of, okay, I reached my limit for the day. I reached what I can handle. What am I going to do right now to go find that peace that's internal, that's not based upon the circumstances around me? So just having that algorithm inserted into my daily thought processes is already making a difference, because I laugh at how tense I've been for the first 20 years as an adult. Just that.
Yeah.
And so that has physiological consequences.
Oh, yeah.
So learning to realize I'm not in control of anything. So I think if we get into segment 2 here, wow, we spent 40-something minutes on segment 1. That's fantastic.
No, we've done segment 2. We're going into segment 3 now.
She says, okay, the cost of escape. The problem is escape doesn't just numb pain, it numbs joy too. What do we mean by this? What do you think? The problem is escape doesn't just numb pain, it numbs... Oh, if we're using escape in the wrong way.
Yes. And interesting, I was coming back from the doctor this morning, and there was I passed a church sign, and it said, I want to make sure I word this right. Joy is something you choose. And I sat with that down the road for a bit, because I never looked at joy as being something that I choose. I thought it was something that happened to you when something came into your life, or you did something. But to be able to say, I'm choosing joy, I mean, that's a totally different concept for me.
Well, that's echoing some concepts from a New Age writer, Eckhart Tolle, if I'm saying that correct. The Present Now, The Power of Now is a book I read earlier this year. It's obviously steeped in a lot of New Age philosophy, so if you're of an evangelical or traditional background, it's not going to set well with you. But the concepts, there were some takeaways there of that we don't have, the future doesn't exist yet. It exists in our worry and anxiety. The past is gone. It just lives in our mind as either a good memory or lots of times regret. We only have the now. And how much trouble is actually in the now versus how much trouble we're actually imagining. Either regretting something in the past or being anxious. So being locked into the now is the only way to actually choose what you're talking about, this path of joyousness, where I'm choosing to have this attitude right now because I'm so focused in on what's there. And it goes back to, I think, an earlier episode we were talking about the pyramid of fulfillment.
Yes.
And I'm still working. I'm working on a book that's going to talk about them. It's just, I write these books not because I have expertise on it, but I'm writing it as a guideline for me. Oh, this is what I think will work, and I'm going to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But this whole gratitude thing at the bottom is a choice of thankfulness for what's here, what's in front of me. Of course, the book that I'm writing, I cannot write the book divorced of any belief in a creator. I don't know how to escape that paradigm of thought that if you're talking about choosing joy, everything inside me is saying this is going to have to come from something else greater than myself, because myself is just swamped with negativity and pessimism.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to be, and it's curious you brought this up, I do not know how to be a joyous individual. I know how to have moments of temporary escape, like the cruise that I just took, and I had a lot of good food. I do not know how to wake up every morning and say I am a happy individual. I mean, that's why I wrote that book, Contentment in Misery.
Yeah.
I mean, how to live a successful life as an old man in the van down by the river with a bunch of cats. I mean, hating everything and everyone. And it's basically my way of saying I don't know how to be a joyous individual. I don't know what that's like. But if we take a look at our theological background, our strong church background we come from, it's just loaded with scriptures about joy.
Yeah.
I mean, the psalmist David says, "Restore unto me the joy of your salvation. The joy of the Lord is your strength." Mm-hmm. What the heck does that mean? You know, because I that was something that probably less than 3 months ago I was like, I've never understood what joy is. And it's interesting that that's listed as one of the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Well, what's that mean? So this is going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me, I think, for the next few years, is as here I am in my 40s, is learning what it means to be a joyous individual. I know how to be a miserable individual. I know how to find joy in being miserable. I know that end. I don't know this other end that we're referring to, because my escapes in life have just been let me just grasping at straws so I can get back into whatever toxicity I'm in and be able to breathe a little bit better.
Well, I think we've established from the beginning of this podcast that we don't claim to have the answers. I think a lot of this is us being more self-explored. What?
I'm sorry, I'm just going Princess Bride. Welcome to this pit of despair. I have just yanked away 1 year of your life. That's what the title of this podcast should be. The Pits of Despair. Why did we call it that? That would have sold, man. That's great. The podcast, The Pits of Despair.
Well, I was talking to my friend yesterday, and she was telling me, she's like, I am loving listening to you guys. Your brother is hilarious.
Loser.
No, she's finding it very refreshing.
That's interesting. Better than that. What did my friend call us? Like toothpaste? It's like having to try a new toothpaste. Carrie Crumpton, if you're watching this, you're hilarious.
When you shared that with me, I was... That's a first. Never been compared to toothpaste.
God almighty. Hey, here's a quote drop. The longer you wait to face what you're running from, the stronger it grows. It does not go away. So, if you're trying to escape things and hoping that they will get better, they won't. Your finances won't get better. Your relationships won't get better. Even your health issues that you're trying to avoid do not get better. You have to have action. And so if you're taking escapes, use that as a moment to empower you to come back and face those challenges with a new, fresh perspective. Let's talk about the emotional cost of not taking a break and recharging the batteries. I can get disconnection from self. I can get disconnection from others.
Yeah.
There's the relational cost of being absent as a parent. I'm so burnt out that I don't have the reservoir to give to other people, to my family, to those that matter the most. Right. And then there's the life cost, missing the real moments while waiting for better ones. I could not, that's a fantastic thing you've written there. I do not think, that's going to be my epitaph. That's going to go on my tomb. He missed all the real moments while waiting for better ones. I don't, think of how many times you have a conversation with me. I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Najia has to do that. She said, she can take me to a restaurant that we've been to before, and she'll say, do you remember this food? I don't remember being here. So I think that I have a big problem of disassociation from reality. I'm just checking out all the time because out of habit, ever since I was a boy, I was just doing that. I have no memory. I have very few memories from childhood. And I just don't remember.
Do you find yourself checking out only in certain environments? Or is it in all environments?
I might be a poster child for undiagnosed ADHD. There's a possibility because that is a side effect. You can't ever lock in on what you're doing unless you're really hyper-focused at times. And then the rest of the time, Najee will catch me in the house like laying down my toothbrush in one bathroom and my toothpaste end up in the other bathroom. She's like, why did you just do that? I didn't know I did it. Wasn't aware that I actually put that down. So I do not know how to be locked into the present because I'm always thinking about something else. And this is because the present is not stimulating enough for me. It takes a lot of stimulation. This is, if you get into ADHD studies, it takes a lot of stimulation to anchor me and keep me focused.
I would have guessed that it was overstimulating and that's why you were checking out.
That also can happen if you're for me, in a large crowded area. Because I can't filter out any of the data. Normal people have a built-in algorithm that can discriminate the input from the environment that's coming in so you're not focused on everything. I walk into, whether it's a shopping center, malls are terrible for me. Malls are really, really hard for me because it's like my aperture on my data focus is just wide. I capture everything and I'm having to process it all. Like airports are the worst. I'll actually I've actually lost my wife in the airport because I just come to a standstill and I'm just doing this number because I can't filter it out. She can walk past everyone and not notice everything. But by the time I've caught up with her, I'm like, hey, did you see the guy covered in tattoos? Did you see the 400-pound Avon lady in a tight yoga pants? Did you see the dog that was only, all those things? She's, I didn't see any of it. So she's locked into her now. She's a very present individual. I'm not, because I half the time find the present to be so boring. And God almighty, you stick me in a business meeting where I'm dealing with slow people, I check out because I'm just bored. So that's not necessarily a character. You may have people that listen to this that's not a character flaw necessarily. It can become if you leave it unchecked. But I'm definitely aware of those ADHD tendencies that are really strong in me, and it comes evident when I want to practice a piece of music. I can't focus long enough on it. I get bored. Even with something I love, so I have to constantly switch to be able to even have some semblance of anchoring in the moment.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
Well, this question might be difficult because I think you just sort of answered it. What have you missed out on because you were checked out?
And I know the answer to this question. The valuable input that other people could have had in my life, and I was too consumed with my own fear to notice how they could be a blessing and how I could even be a blessing to them in my own brokenness.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, I'm looking back on my first few years of college. I was so scared. I couldn't. That's a little tiny college we went to. I mean, tiny college I went to. I couldn't even leave the dorm. My brother Miles had to send the RA to get me out of my room because I didn't want to leave it. So the fear was keeping me from being able to see the beauty in other people and connect with them and establish healthy relationships.
Okay.
Isolation was driven because of just self-protection, and it was not necessary, I don't think. So I've missed out on life because of failure to really connect with other people. This year alone, I've started making friends, so to say. And my wife and I, we have a couple that
I know where you're
going to friends. Is it crazy,
Yes.
Jenny? What will they call us?
You got two people. 1, 2.
God, we got to watch a different show. But we have a couple, and I actually enjoy, and we haven't seen them in a while, and we'll say, hey, we haven't seen them. We got to go see Rod and Lori because they're just so uplifting. And so this is the first time for me to have that in my life where I walk away. First of all, allow someone in my life, and they're really encouraging to me, and it's a blessing. So I think that's what I've missed out on.
I don't know that I often fully check out. And I think it may be because of my ingrained survival mode and my need for control. I think that keeps me present. But the negative of that is it is exhausting. And I do try sometimes to tune out parts of the outside world to help manage my stress and anxiety, and that kind of checking out does create a bit of ignorance. So like you were talking about tuning out the news, I couldn't tell you half of what's going on in the world today. I don't know. And so there is a lot of things that I am ignorant about, but it was a decision I made because I was staying so negatively impacted by the things that were going on.
Ooh, there's your point right there of the whole podcast. You got to quit scrolling on social media so much.
Well, it's not just social media. I mean, it for me, it was
news.
just the news too.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. I think it's designed that way on purpose. Because if you constantly just keep people on edge, you can control them with advertisement because you're going to create the fear create advertisement and materialism that's supposed to assuage that fear, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So you got to break free from it. You got to find quietness, people. Even the best escapes come with a cost. When we only feel alive on vacation or during a mental escape, normal life can feel dull or worse, overwhelming.
Well, for me, being checked out isn't about, like I said, it's not about ignoring what's going on in my life or my family's life, because I'm actually present for most of that time. But and this is something I'm struggling with. I've really been struggling with this episode because I find it to be very personal, and I don't have the answers. And I keep coming back to the energy, the calmness that I get from Maine, and I desperately want to be able to find those elements that I can recreate at home. And I want that to be able to, so it can bring a sense of peace and calmness for me. And I know I know Jeremy feels very similar. We've actually tried to start going away, like just once a month somewhere on the lake, just to get a sense of that same feeling that we do when we're in Maine. And so we're trying to find a way to work that into our life more frequently and not have to wait for it to be just an annual thing.
Well, that's a good segue into segment 4 here, Vacation Like a Pro. What are your tips on how to have a good escape? I love coming to your place because you're well organized. And like my brother-in-law on the Gia side, he plans vacations and things are taking. He's very detailed. Vacations for me are ones where I don't have to think about what I'm going to do next because it's already planned out for me. And so vacations, like I have a friend of mine that went with her friend, just got on a plane and went to Europe. No, they just roamed around. I don't know how you do that.
Wow.
That's not escape for me. So what are some tips on what you think? Here are some travel hacks. Granted, we could have a whole episode on this, but let's just hit the highlights.
Well, even with the best plans, there's no guarantee that everything will go smoothly. We've had trips every trip that I take is very, very planned out. Whether it's here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing in the morning. Here's what we're doing in the afternoon.
Bathroom break, exit 356. You got 15 minutes, people. Go, go, go.
I do map out bathrooms for our trips. But, oh man, I've done lost my train of thought. So Jeremy and I, we took a trip this past July. It was just me and him. Chloe went with Jeremy's mother. And I planned out that trip, but I planned for us to do pretty much nothing. So, I mean, even though I didn't have...
Okay, wait. Plan. Here is a checklist on how to do nothing. Step number 1. Obey all rules. What was the second step? Oh, no writing on the wall. Because
the writing is hard to remove from the...
For those of you who have a life, you're not going to get this portion of the segment.
If they're still listening.
All 3 of you, thank you for joining us.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, we literally had a plan, which was to go and do nothing. So, but it was very restful. Now, back in March... We took Chloe to Canada for spring break, and I had a very heavy schedule because this trip was for Chloe, and she wants action. She doesn't want to just sit around all day doing nothing. So I was very intentional, planned out everything, and I think that was like the smoothest trip we've ever had. Nothing negative happened. It all went flawless. But that is not always the case. I mean, we've gone on other trips where flights got canceled. We got stuck in Texas for like, I think they told us it was going to be like 48 hours before they could get us a flight out. So what we ended up doing was renting a vehicle and driving home. So the big takeaway, I think, is going in with a plan, but knowing that plan may get disrupted, and you got to adapt, go with the flow, and be able to implement a backup plan on the spot.
Oh, absolutely. We decided a few years ago. Well, that's a little longer than a few years ago. We were going to take a train ride. We're going to get in Birmingham and take a train all up to D.C. Now, in my mind, I'd never been on a train like that. I thought she was booking us the sleeper car, and it's going to be wood panels. I'm going to have a butler with tux because we're paying some good money. Man, that train station was 2 clicks away from a third world country, and I get on that. We did not take that train back. We got a flight. Took a flight back home. That's how bad it was. It was just so deplorable.
Wow.
It's the worst. It's the worst memory of a vacation that I have because it was just miserable. Because the whole thing smelled like diesel fuel, and it was grimy. You're having to sit down and eat frozen dinners on a cart next to people you don't know, and so I was just absolutely miserable. So I'll never do that again. No.
Yeah.
Learn my lesson the hard way. So you just have to roll with the punches, and I think that's a lesson for everyday life too. You know, vacations, they show us the feelings that we're chasing, the freedom, and the slowness, the connection and the presence. But we don't have to always leave town to experience that. There are ways to make that happen in our personal life. We can create tiny pockets of that same energy here at home.
That's right. It's just, I wish I had a step-by-step plan that I could present to not just listeners but myself also, and how to implement that. It's not easy.
I would say carving out some time every day, if it's just 10 minutes, that you're doing something that you say, man, that makes me feel excited. It's a little bit of a happiness. It's a little bit of because I think we get involved with the rat race. We have our list of things to do, and we're reactionary to life's demands.
Yeah.
Rather than ever taking a charge of our schedule and saying, okay, today, at some point, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to go water paint, if I want to. Or I'm going to do something that is not on my drudgery list of to-do, but it does empower me emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and being aware of that gauge. Am I dead in the water? And what am I doing to revive that?
Well, Jeremy and I, we actually made a list that we both have iPhones, and you can go into your notes and you can share a document. Yep. And so we will occasionally, we have just a list of activities. We'll add just random stuff to that because neither one of us is much of a doer in the sense of let's go out this weekend and do this and this, or we're more inclined to stay in because we don't really like going out. But I think part of the funk that he and I have been in recently is because we're not challenging ourselves. We're not experiencing anything outside of just being in this same environment. And from what I've read from different books, you take it for what it is, but they claim that humans get that feeling of joy from experiencing new things, different things, even though you may not always enjoy everything that you do. But I think you do learn more about yourself. Yeah. And I think it helps break up the monotony of that daily grind that we're trying to escape from. And
when
we
talk about these,
go ahead.
when we talk about these emotions, we're talking about the release of neurotransmitters, dopamine,
Right.
serotonin, in other words. And if the environment is not stimulating enough, in other words, it's constantly the same, there's no sense of mystery, that's where a little bit of excitement comes from. So add a little bit of mystery to your life. Try something that's new. Heck, if you have never taken music lessons as an adult, go take some music lessons. Granted, you could have a bad experience because there's a lot of bad teachers, but there's also a lot of good teachers out there. Just doing something I'll do that every once in a while. I'll pick up an instrument I hadn't touched before, or I've been a long time I don't play other instruments, and I'll just piddle with it.
Yeah.
That's stimulating to me. So if I don't have, I've learned in my life that if I go a long time, I don't have those little moments of stimulation, then I'm constantly looking at my environment from a reservoir of need rather than a reservoir of fulfillment, which opens the doorway for creativity. So that's what I've been learning this year, is not letting that gauge get so low, get in the red. Man, my tank is empty. What is it that I need that stimulates me in a way that I feel positive enough to have the energy to give back to other people? All right, so let's start wrapping this up here, because here we are a little over an hour.
So what if the next time that you, and I'm speaking to myself, we feel that urge to escape, pause and let's ask ourselves, am I running away, or am I resting so I can return fully? Notice what you're really craving and see how you can bring even a small piece of that feeling into your day. Maybe that's life is good for carrying those pieces of what makes us feel alive right where we are, not something that we have to go away to actually find and achieve. Next week, we're talking about something we all know too well. What happens when plans don't go the way we imagined?
From careers to relationships, and yes, even vacations, because sometimes even the best planned trips need a backup plan.
Yep. And we're going to dive into the beauty of detours, the pain of pivots, and how to find life in plan B or C or maybe plan D.
Awesome. Well, this is life. What is it good for? We'll see you next time, folks. Thanks for joining us.